Wanting less, a quietude story for when life feels like too much. You don't wake up one morning wanting less. That would be too clean, too Instagrammable. You wake up exhausted. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that feels structural, like your life has been assembled incorrectly and now every small movement squeaks. You lie there longer than usual staring at the ceiling, not because you're lazy, but because your body has started negotiating with the day before agreeing to participate. You think of everything you're supposed to want: more money, more clarity, more discipline, more joy, more steps per day, more friends you actually see, more success you can explain at dinner. It's loud in your head, not anxious loud, administrative loud, like an inbox you can't close because some of the emails are from yourself. At some point, and you don't know exactly when, wanting more stops feeling ambitious and starts feeling aggressive, like the world is leaning into you too hard. You notice it in small, unheroic moments. Standing in front of your closet full of clothes you chose carefully at different versions of yourself, and still thinking, I have nothing to wear, which really means I don't know who I am today. Scrolling through your phone and feeling that strange specific nausea, not envy, not sadness, just a dull sense that everyone else is auditioning for a life you forgot to prepare for. You close the app, you open it again, you hate yourself a little for doing that. This isn't rock bottom. That's the confusing part. Your life looks fine. From the outside, it might even look good, which makes the feeling worse, because you don't want more. You want less weight, less explaining, less pretending to care about things you've already quietly outgrown, less urgency masquerading as purpose. You remember when wanting more felt exciting. There was a time when you believed there was a version of you waiting just around the corner, more confident, more certain, more deserving. You thought if you just kept moving, kept upgrading, kept improving, you'd eventually arrive. But lately arriving feels overrated. Lately you fantasize about smaller things, a day without plans, a job that doesn't follow you home, a conversation that doesn't turn into a performance review of your life choices. You fantasize about disappearing, not dramatically, not in a worrying way, just quietly becoming unavailable to expectations that never asked if you wanted them. You notice how much energy goes into keeping up with news you don't have the capacity to process, keeping up with people you like but don't feel safe being honest with, keeping up with the version of yourself you accidentally promised to be. And one afternoon, maybe in a grocery store, maybe in traffic, maybe while staring at a screen that has stopped making sense, the thought lands, fully formed, without panic. What if I don't want more? It feels dangerous to think that. Almost irresponsible. Like admitting you don't want children at family dinner. Like saying you're not ambitious in a room full of people confusing exhaustion with virtue. Wanting less sounds like failure. But it doesn't feel like failure in your body. It feels like relief. You start noticing how tired more actually makes you. More choices, more options, more things to manage, update, optimize. Even pleasure has become crowded. More shows, more podcasts, more advice. Even rest has instructions now. So you begin experimenting, not publicly. You leave earlier. You say no without replacing it with an excuse. You stop replying immediately and discover the world does not, in fact, collapse. You eat the same breakfast 3 days in a row and feel oddly loyal to it. You notice that wanting less doesn't make life smaller. It makes it quieter. And in that quiet, something unexpected happens. Your nervous system, which has been bracing for years, loosens its grip. Just a little. You realize how much of your wanting was driven by fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being misread. Fear of being ordinary in a culture that treats ordinary like a threat. But here's the secret no one says out loud. Ordinary is where breathing happens. Wanting less doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing where to stand. It means deciding that not every desire deserves your body. Not every opportunity deserves your time. Not every version of you deserves to be maintained. You don't announce this shift. There's no speech, no post. It shows up subtly. You laugh more easily. Not louder, just more honestly. You stop explaining your choices like they're up for debate. You feel less interesting and strangely more real. You still want things. Of course you do. You just want them less desperately. And desperation was never the same thing as passion. One evening you catch yourself doing nothing, not recovering, not dissociating, just being there. The moment passes quickly, but it leaves a trace, a sense that maybe the goal was never to have more. Maybe it was to carry less noise, less shame, less pressure to become someone else before you are allowed to rest. You don't fix your life. You don't reinvent it. You just stop adding unnecessary weight. And for the first time in a long while, that feels like enough. If this quiet moment stayed with you, even briefly, you're welcome to stay too. Subscribe to Quietude.